Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of On the Move with the Caravan football preview with Jim Powers. I'm Chris Miller. I'm with Jim Powers. Jim, how are we doing today?
Doing great. The football season comes to an end, and I tell you what, if the games this weekend are anything like what we saw Saturday afternoon and early evening, we are in store for an unbelievable weekend of football out at Furrow Field.
No kidding. I mean, that was an epic game for sure, and on so many different levels. Let's go ahead and talk about that. We're talking about the Class 6 state championship between CBC and Lee Summit North. CBC defeated Lee Summit North 35-28 in overtime. And Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that was the first time we've had a state championship game go into overtime.
First time in Class 6 since they went to 6 classes. It's the first time that we've seen a game go into overtime, and it was an instant classic. I mean, the first half it was 28-20, and each team was just throwing haymakers at each other. And then the second half, the adjustments made at halftime were terrific, and the only touchdown was CBC getting a score with about 6.5 minutes left, and then they had to hold on for dear life. Lee Summit North drove it down with less than 10 seconds to go to the 3-yard line and missed the field goal, but then there was a roughing the kicker call, and then they lined up to do it again, and this time CBC was able to get the block to force the overtime. And then, CBC was able to get the score on the first play, and then they hold on a 4th and 16 to get an incomplete pass to seal the deal. But it was just unbelievable to watch. I mean, two great, teams, great storylines all across the board. But once again, CBC able to hold on. But this was the toughest that they've been pushed in 2 years, other than East St. Louis. Nobody's pushed them to the limit like they got pushed on Saturday evening.
Right. And it just shows how great of a program they are. And I mean, that's now back-to-back state championships. How many is it in the last
5 state championships in the last 8 years?
And there we go. Yeah.
And, once again, when you have great kids, Jeremiah Love, he gets over 200, but the first play that they have from scrimmage is an 80-yard touchdown run. And then, like I said, they threw haymakers at each other in the first half. And Lee Summit North answered. And that was the impressive thing, was they used that double tight end set and got their tight ends involved. And they were running some drag patterns and some different things. And that opened it up over the top for their terrific, wide receiver, Mosey. And, CBC didn't have a couple answers early on. But then in the second half, their coaching staff, and I've always said this about Scott Pingle's coaching staff, the adjustments that they make at halftime are as legit as you are going to see in any scope of high school football. And they made some terrific adjustments. But then Lee Summit North made some terrific adjustments as well. And once again, it was two great coaching staffs. It was a chess match. It was the ultimate chess match, but CBC able to come on top. And, Love had a terrific game. McClellan did some great things. And then you look at Michael Thiessen on the defensive side. Once again, it was so much fun to watch and call. And there was a couple times that I was getting caught up in just watching the game and not knowing what to say because it was so doggone good.
Right. Those are the best kinds to call and be a part of, too, because that's just the ones you remember. And we got some great games coming up this weekend, obviously. I mean, we have all the state championship games for the rest of Class 1 through 5. Let's go ahead and look at Class 3. And last week we had Cardinal Ritter taking on Pleasant Hill. Cardinal Ritter defeated Pleasant Hill 54-35. They'll be taking on Reeds Spring, who defeated Sullivan 49-20. So, Jim, we've said Cardinal Ritter's great, and they're a great team all year. How's this one shaking out?
Cardinal Ritter has everything to lose and everything to win. I mean, Reed Springs has had a great season, terrific year. but they're going to see a team that once again, and I've said it for the last couple of weeks, they're on a mission. Their victory last week was exactly what you expected. You knew that they were going to take care of their business, and they did, to a pretty good Pleasant Hill team. And, when you got Burks on the side, able to do the things he's doing, their defense is really playing well. Once again, I think what Brendan Spain's done with that has done with that program has been terrific. And I think it's state championship or bust. And you hate to say it in that tone or that text, but this is what they've planned for all year. This is what they've been playing for. And honestly, I don't think Reed Spring has the speed on the edges or in the secondary that's going to be able to stop this Lion train. And really, I think it's going to be terrific if they can get their first football state championship.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's how it's going to go. They're just so good. They're so talented. They're so fast. And they play really, really, really good football.
Yeah, I mean, they're physical up front, but yeah, they play fast. And when you have Burks and you have, those dudes that can get out there and get it going, you've got to play fast. And this is the type of offense that they love to run. And once again, I don't think that Reed Spring has seen this type of an offensive juggernaut that they're going to see on Saturday morning in the Class 3 state championship. I think it's Ritter. I'm not playing the homer card on this one, but I really think, Ritter has been the team all year long, and I don't think it's going to stop. I think they're going to get the state championship.
I agree as well. And moving on to Class 4, we have the all-metro area state championship game as St. Mary's defeated Smithville last week 37-23, and they'll be playing St. Dominic, who defeated West Plains 42-14. Jim, St. Dominic's kind of came out of nowhere here, obviously getting healthy at the right time. So how do you see this one going?
Yeah, yesterday I had a chance to talk to both coaches, and Ken Turner, he knows he's going to see a different team this time around. And, in talking to Blake Markway up at St. Dom's, when they played the first time, he was running kids out there that haven't played any varsity ball before that, and they haven't played any varsity snaps after that. They didn't have their, the top running back in Pullman. They didn't have Overton. He was running to a second, third string on the defensive side of things. And so you expected St. Mary's to win that game. But I'm telling you, this is going to be a different go-around. You've got Overton back. And, one of the things that Coach Markway said to me was that 45 other kids decided amongst themselves to play as hard as they could to get to this opportunity so that their senior leader, who got hurt in the jamboree, missed the whole regular season, could come back and play for a state championship. That awesome. Says a lot. I mean, that says a whole heck of a lot of the culture that Blake Markaway and his coaching staff has built up at St. Dominic. And then you look across the way, you've got St. Mary's. There are 2 losses to an 8A power over in Illinois and Equa Valley, to one of the historically top programs down in Kentucky and Trinity out of Louisville. It was those games that got his guys ready to roll. And David Leonard at quarterback has just been terrific all year long for this team. And that was a big question mark going into the year for St. Mary's. Can somebody fill the shoes that Kevin Coleman left last year? And I think David Leonard has just done a terrific job in doing that. He's making big plays, but he's managing the game. And that's been the fun part to watch all season long. So it's going to be, once again, this is going to be a chess match between 2 outstanding coaching staffs, 2 great teams. And once again, St. Dom's has the emotional thing going, getting Jackson back. And, he's a game and a half back. He's had 3 touchdowns already. I mean, heck, in the quarter, first carry, 41 yards, touchdown, see you later, bye. But there's a lot of emotion on the St. Dom's side. Same thing on the St. Mary's side with everything, right, all the adversity that those kids are going through and all that. So this is a really intriguing matchup. A lot of people think St. Mary's in a blowout. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than what a lot of people think. And I'm excited I get to call that game on Friday morning at 11 o'clock to see these 2 AAA, conference foes go into battle to bring home a state championship. St. Mary's, unique situation for them. They won in Class 3 last year. They're looking to make the move up to Class 4 and win the Class 4 title. And you don't normally see that very often. And with the championship factor, you'll see that a little bit more.
Yeah. And both, like you said, both teams have stuff to play for, especially that emotional stuff going on. So I think it's going to be a different game as well. I do give the edge to Mary's, but at the same time, I root for St. Dom just because I like Blake and I think he's a good guy and I think he's done a heck of a job there. Moving on to Class 5, we have our finals are set. We have Fort Osage. They're going to be taking on Francis Howell. Fort Osage defeated Cape Central 56-20 in the semifinals, while Francis Howell defeated Carthage 35-13. Jim, we've said Francis Howell, they're pretty good, and whoever wins Class 5 is pretty good. Best team in the state. Do we still think that?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, the battle royal that took place down in Carthage on Saturday between number 1 and number 2, Howell just came out of the gate and took it to him. I mean, there was just no looking back. Adam Shipley had another terrific game. You're getting Brett Norfleet into the mix a little bit more now. And their defense just rose to the occasion in a hostile environment down in Southwest Missouri. Carthage came out and they came out strong, but how they punched them in the mouth and kept them down on the mat. And that's what a Brent Shinaki team is going to do. They're going to get after you early and they're going to knock you out and they're going to keep you down on the ground. Fort Osage, a team that's been there. Hal hasn't been there since 12. Osage has been there. They've won a state championship. They lost in the semifinal last year to Holt. So once again, two teams that have been there before and have done that, but this is going to be a knockdown drag out. Both teams got great offenses. Both teams have terrific defenses. I give the slight edge to Howell because I like their physicality a little bit more on film than what I've seen over Osage. But Osage has a couple kids that can flat out fly on the edge, and they've got a very smart quarterback as well. So this is going to be a terrific ball game. I love the two quarterbacks that are going to play in this game, and there's going to be a lot of fireworks Friday night at Faroe Field for this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And this is one that I actually get to sit back and watch. I get to be a fanboy for a little bit and watch this game.
You don't have to work on this one, really?
I don't have to work on this one. I get to be a fanboy on Friday night and watch that game. And it's going to be a lot of fun to just sit there and really enjoy it and, take it in and actually, have a little bit of fun, not reporting, until Monday when I write my Danny Mac story on it, but to just sit there and just be able to watch it and have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, it should be an epic battle for sure. What do we have on scoops on tap for scoops with Danny Mac this week, Jim?
Yeah, we're interviews. We had both Brent Shinaki and Ken Turner on the podcast today. Great student athlete of the week story on a kid from Webster Groves that won the state diving title for the third straight year. Has only happened 6 times in state history. And, Bennett Loving, what a terrific kid. Great story. Had a great time chatting with him. Friday, we'll preview all the state championships. And then on Monday, we'll recap everything. And then guess what? Same thing that we're going to be doing. Time to switch gears. It's basketball season. And there's been a lot of great games already, a lot of great tournaments that we haven't even touched on yet. And, we're going to get after it starting next week. And we're excited about that. We'll have our final football poll on Tuesday next week. And then we'll just start diving into basketball stuff.
Absolutely. Well, Jim, hey, let's wrap it up, man. It is officially winter time after this weekend, so let's get ready for it, buddy.
No doubt about it. And we'll shift gears on this show. We'll start talking basketball next week and, kind of get into a lot of the things that have been going on, a lot of the great tournaments that are happening. And, we'll keep this train rolling and we'll keep it on the rails instead of off the rails.
Exactly. Well, Jim, appreciate you joining me for another episode, and thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of On the Move with the Caravan Football Preview. I'm Chris Miller. He's Jim Powers. We'll talk to you guys all next week.
Tune in for new episodes of the Coach's Box each week on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, or the Streamline Sports app. And you can also listen to our show on Apple Podcasts, Google, and Spotify. This episode of On the Move with the Caravan Football Preview with Jim Powers is brought to you by Scoops with Danny Mac and Off the Rails Media. Life's more fun when you're off the rails.